Everyone, this is Vinny here at the Rod Pod. Welcome, everyone. So, I got a lot on my mind, and I want to share it with you because in the day that we're living today, if you're feeling anything like me, you've been a social media zombie. Okay, from whether you're the busiest person on planet Earth to maybe someone who maybe is not spending any time out there working. Maybe you're unemployed. Maybe you're spending a lot of time doing volunteer work at your church or at school, or maybe you are at work or you have a business. Wherever you are in life, I'm sure you're getting inundated with messages from all over the place. People telling you this about politics and the economy, and we just came out of a major health disaster that we experienced a few years ago. We are undergoing so much in this crazy wacky world, which I would argue social media contributes a lot to the speed at which we're able to receive information. So if you're anything like me, you've probably had, with all of this bombardment, things, images and messages and information just going through your mind at a rapid pace, and oftentimes you feel like you got all this stuff in and you just carry it on, right? You're scrolling through Instagram, looking at your DMs, right? You see a lot of uh, debate and argument and banter going back and forth on Twitter. People accusing, and a lot of divisiveness happening on those platforms. Not to mention, you go out into the workplace and you see, and you see less and less people are interacting with each other, because as you find more and more as we become more involved in this virtual, in this digital age, we start to find less and less contact with the real world. So if you're anything like me, you probably got a lot of stuff on your mind and you just want to find a mechanism to get it out. And this platform here, ladies and gentlemen, will be that platform in which I get to finally let all of this out. My day in and day out experience of the world that's been basically like colliding at me. I'm able to now expel that and be able to bring that out into the air and share that with many of you who will probably have a lot of similar thoughts to me. But I want to have that conversation with you in a way in which we can be respectful of each other's perspectives, and as well in which we'd be able to perhaps learn or take something away from each other's experiences. Because let's be real, we all have, we're all human beings. We all come from a some sort of a background, and we all have a heart and blood running through our veins and our nervous system. We all have a mind and certain thoughts, and a lot of similar fears, emotions running through us every single day. So, with that said, if we know that we share a common human experience, then there's probably some middle ground in which we can come together and create a solution. Therefore, we may be able to have different thoughts or different perspectives that we be able to shed light to someone else who may have never experienced it before. So I hope that you're going to find this podcast, which is called the Rod Pod. Okay, the Rod Pod, which has a lot of tentacles to it, a lot of different divisions with it, and be able to use the experiences that you're going to hear from me and many of my guests coming onto the podcast in the future for your everyday life. Again, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Vinny Rod here at the podcast. I am glad here to finally be with you on YouTube. You may have already, those of you who have not yet done so, make sure to subscribe if you're looking for more information on how to improve many aspects of your life, whether that's fitness, finance, or anything you're related to building a positive future. I'm going to be here for that. But I'm also going to show you the uncomfortable sides, the uncomfortable truths that that we're really grappling with a lot today in society. Okay. For those of you that know, I've been on YouTube for many, many years. Okay, I've been posting things here and there, once in a while. You may have seen my adventures when I was in the Peace Corps in Peru. Okay, absolutely amazing experience. I may just do a recap, a podcast simply about that experience when I was in Peru. If you guys want to see that, you'll feel free to comment below. Okay, if you guys haven't done so yet, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the channel because we're going to develop a lot more content coming to you in the future. All right. Those of you who may be following me on social media may have been seeing my progress and my growth as the chairman of a company in the financial district here in New York over the last 5 years, and the team that we've built, the camaraderie and the massive amount of clientele that we've been able to track over the amount of years. So you guys will be able to see that as well. Just sort of my journey as I started with, with the kid with nothing but $40 in his pocket, leaving working a deadbeat job in a restaurant in the kitchen, making barely minimum wage, barely getting any hours, to now being one of the top guys in the company, actually leading the forefront of an entire company in the lending sector in the financial district in New York over the last 5 years. Not only that, you guys will see the trajectory of my health and my fitness, how much that's been able to improve over the years the more I started to hone in on it. Many of you may have also seen books that I have written. Books that I have reviewed. I used to have a mini series called Vast Books. I may bring that back. If you guys want me to bring that back, I'll be happy to do so, called Vast Books. When I first got into the personal development space, I was very much a disciplined, avid reader, which I am today. I'm just a lot more selective as far as which content I put into my mind and which content I read. So if you're a subscriber, you will see that my Vast Book series goes over and reviews, and highlights a lot of books that really had an impact on me, and the goods and bads of it, and certain details to pay attention to regarding those books. And I had a lot of fun doing those reviews. It's I just I don't see that happen a lot nowadays, and I think it's something that needs a little bit of resuscitation. Seeing book reviews, because books are a simulative experience that put us in this scenario in which we can experience what we're learning. There's not a lot of safe places where you could technically do that, where you could technically learn and not have to deal with falling on your face so much, where you actually creating that experience for yourself. So I'm an avid reader. Okay. And so there are a lot of dimensions to the life that I live, and I've been holding it up for so long, and I'm sure a lot of you guys feel the same way. I've been holding it up for so long that it's time to just let all of this out, and it's going to branch from this mastermind, which is RodPod, and then we'll extend that out. Those of you that are following me on social media may have seen my Instagram channels, I'm sorry, my social media channels as 8-Figure Vision. I would do another episode that relates to the etymology of and the origins of 8-Figure Vision, and why did I choose that specific number and what significance that has in my brand. So you guys will see that in another episode in the future. Okay, so in a nutshell, I wanted to just take the time here to speak with you and just let you know that I'm here. I'm here as a friend. I'm here as a colleague. I'm here as someone to really start breaking bread with you. And I want to be able to create this a relationship, a community where we all are able to come in and be exactly the person that we know that we need to be, in a space where we could be completely raw, uncensored, unfiltered, unapologetically. All right, because there's a lot of things that I'm gonna say that y'all are not gonna want to agree with. That I'm gonna tell you that right up front. I know that for sure. I have a reputation of rubbing people the wrong way. Okay, and I take that proudly. Why? Because there's one thing that I do not, and I repeat, there's one thing that I do not negotiate, and that is my purpose. Anything below that goes beneath my purpose. But I believe in order to live that purpose, it needs to be within the truth. So the truth uh, does not care about your feelings. The truth does not care about what other people think. The truth is the truth. All right. There is no version of the truth. There's just simply the truth. And part of my purpose to to use this channel basically as a defilter, as a way to kind of squeeze out all of the noise. Any noise is kind of like bombarding you and it's just attacking you from so many different ways. I want you to be able to bring that in here and then see it in a process that's just going to wipe the slate clean and allow you to see it for what it is exactly. All right. And I believe that if you're able to use this podcast as a tool to look at true events and how they are impacting your world in the day to day, then it'll that much more project you towards your goal in the future. So, enough of that word salad. With that said, I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about me and why I think you would need to watch this podcast. All right. But before I do, I just wanted to quickly introduce myself, a little bit of background about me. My name is Vinny. I was born originally in the Bronx in New York. Okay, barely had anything, just lived the typical life in the streets. Basically, I was told go to school, get good grades. For me, that was a way to stay away from basically that was a way for me to stay away from the gangs and the violence and the drug dealing and all that all the stuff that was going on in my neighborhood, that I just saw there was no future for that. So I kind of played into the whole concept of go to school, get good grades, get a good job, and I thought that that would be kind of a way out. That was a way out of the streets, and you know what? It got me out of the streets, but I will tell you, it did not get me out of average. It did not get me out of mediocrity. And not until I realized or I was exposed into entrepreneurship and sales, and that really opened my eyes because there I realized you can create anything that you want. So, especially now until I came to New York and I saw how rugged and how tough it is, right? Even though I was born and raised in New York, I did spend some time from high school through college, in which I was, I basically spent those years studying in Boston. And, I just noticed how soft things were, like just how, I don't know. I think a lot of my influence from school, a lot of it was very much like coddling. So anyway, just to keep the long story short, I did very, very, very well. I learned about, I got very involved in leadership organizations and different community service events. I started traveling a lot, and I enjoyed it. I will always say I did enjoy my years in high school and college for sure. After which, I started looking for jobs, and it was miserable, miserable, because I had all the accolades and all of the referrals necessary, but nobody wanted to hire me. So I ended up working at a restaurant and just working in the kitchen. I did another part-time job here. I did a temp job over there. I was doing everything I can to just scrap up some money. I was trying to make a living on my own, or at least get out of my mother's apartment at the time. And it was tough. So I just risked it all, came to New York and got into sales. I got into sales and lending, and my first sales job, I increased my income significantly to the point in which now I'm a person of influence. And because I've been able to help so many other people, now I want to be able to spread this message out on social media and through the internet. Why? Because I have a lot to say. and I've seen the impact I've had on people, but also the impact that people have had on me. And I think this is special to the stories that we've had, many of which I'm going to share with you here. So I guess that's kind of like my story, really, 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 really fast. Okay, but I'll also tell you, I'm a bit of a dick. All right, actually, a lot. So I could be very annoying. All right. I'm definitely a geek. I like geeking out. I love to read. I'll meditate. I'm not that much of a like, hey, I get to, go and do. I'm not much of like going out clubbing, getting lit, getting wasted. Like that's not my thing. Like, under the right circumstance, sure, why not? But not really my thing. I mean, I think what I realized is over the years when you're so driven to your purpose, nothing else matters. There's got to be something that's more valuable than your purpose for you to even want to do it. And in fact, many times when I go out, like to keep it real, like between us, just between me and you, I think it's boring. I think when you're like out in the club and even when you dancing with a chick, like whatever, right? Take her home, like whatever that may be. Yeah, that's cool. But it's just not fulfilling. You know what I'm saying? Like there's just so much more else that I don't know that I just put so much more to a higher pedestal that has so much more value. Like, owning 8,000 rental units, like putting my mother in a house, making sure that she never has to pay, never making sure that she's set for life, that she doesn't have to worry about having having to work to pay for the rent. There's so many other things in mind. There's so many people right now that I know could use my help. There's so many people who are sick right now that I know if they adopted maybe some of the nutrition, habits that I've adopted, that I know it could change them. Why? Because I've seen it before myself. So I don't know. Those are the things I get excited about. What about you guys? Like, if you guys are excited about those types of things, like put a one in the chat because for me, I don't know. I think that there's something so much greater, so much more powerful to creating an impact than just going out and having fun. Like I'm not turned on about video games or like shopping. I do like food though. I ain't gonna lie. I love food. And I'll tell you, you put some Oreos in front of me, it's gonna be almost impossible for me not to this is not sponsored by them, all right, guys. They should though, for all those cookies that I ate from them, y'all should be sponsoring me. So anyway, I want to take a moment. Sometimes you're gonna see me here dressed like this, just normal. Sometimes you're gonna see me in here with a suit. Sometimes you're gonna see me upset, yelling at you like a drill sergeant. Sometimes you're gonna see me just chatting it up with you right now. But that's how the podcast is going to be. And as it develops and as more and more of you'll begin to engage with me on this platform, then we will begin giving this a little bit more depth, a little bit more color, a little bit more volume. So in the meantime, we're gonna let this thing flow, right, ladies and gentlemen. So now, to the reasons why, and just to wrap this up, to the reasons why I believe it is important for you to be on this podcast. Number one, I'm just going to keep it real with you guys the whole time. I'm going to keep it real with you. We talked about truth earlier. Just going to keep it really straightforward. All right. I think these podcasts are just kind of an outlet for us to be able to speak our mind. And I think sometimes when we're in front of a camera, sometimes it's hard for us to just be ourselves. All right. So, uh, another reason is it's going to be important to kind of use this as an accountability tool, right? Many of you're aiming for, to accomplish something in your lives, and you may look back to certain key points and elements in this podcast as a way to kind of look back and use some metrics to be able to propel yourself forward. So that might be another reason why to use this podcast. Also, It's going to be fresh perspective. I'm sure everybody says that, but here's the thing. It's true. Every single podcast that you watch, every single video that you watch, there's something unique and special about that particular individual or that group or that team. That's the reason why you are watching them. Okay. Everyone has something to contribute to the table in different manners, whatever that may be. Some may be more boring than others. Some may be more entertaining. Some may be more formal or informal, right? That depends. With you guys will make that determination with me. I'll leave that up to you. Okay. And another reason why to watch this is I'm gonna cover a lot. All right. I'm gonna cover a lot of nuanced things. If there's anything that you know about, if there's anything you learn about me, is I'm very in depth. I'm very much a rabbit hole type of person. Like I'll take a concept and I'll just dig real deep into that, into the ground until the basic mechanics of it. I'll reverse engineer a topic and we'll do deep dives until we can uncover really what is the premise of that topic that we're discussing. And what I find is I think there's just too much surface level stuff. There's too much like clickbait and too much shorts nowadays. Shorts is such a big a big mechanism, which you guys will see. I do some shorts as well, but I don't know. I think it is important to do very big deep dive uh, because in a controlled environment. So why is that? Well, because the if we don't truly get to the bottom and to the foundation of of things that's making us uncomfortable or things that we don't understand, then we'll never be able to pass beyond that. All right. So the whole point of this podcast is going to be to go over how is as I mentioned before, it's going to be a community for us to be able to go over how to improve in all facets of life. I'm talking about fitness, I'm talking about in finance, I'm talking about in anything that is related to goals or family, community, how to whether that is how to create a how to get better at dancing. I might post some video dances in here, like some dance videos up in here. Like, I don't know, I got the moves with salsa. What? Right. But just there's some things that I really want to get off my mind that I know I'm not the only one. And I'm looking for the people that's out there that's kind of feeling the same thing I am. All right. But the main things that I really want to go over with you guys in the future is personal development, business, finance, investing. Okay. And you may be saying just those four topics, like Vinny, there's so many of that. There's so much of that out there. I completely agree. Completely agree. However, I know that you're going to get things from me that you've never heard before. Okay, fitness and health. Those of you that may not know, I am working on getting my nutrition certification. Okay, and then hopefully that becomes a license and I can get more and more in depth there as well because I really do want to heal people. I do want to contribute to people feeling better in their lives from a physical, from a physiological standpoint via nutrition and diet. Okay. And those are really the main elements of what I want to use this podcast for. So there will be other sub channels as well, vegan podcasts, or plant-based podcast. There will be a reaction video podcast, and that one's so the vegan podcast is going to be called Vegan with Vinny. All right. The react basically it's going to be a reaction channel. What I look at what's going on in the news. I give my take. All right. I know there's a lot of reaction channels out there, but I want to give my take on it. Okay. So the reaction channel is going to be called Overreactive. You heard it here first. Overreactive. Yeah, it's going to get dramatic, ladies and gentlemen. All right. And there we're going to talk about relationships and, you know, politics and the economy and the environment. And, if you want to get tinfoil hat, right, that's going to be the time for us to do it, right? Whatever that might be. So we're going to do that on the reaction channel. And then the Rod Pod is simply going to be a place for us to, we'll have guests on who have certain specializations in key areas, mostly in business and finance. And I'm going to bring in a little element that none of you usually get to see, which is from the lending space. Okay, you guys don't see that much on there. Many of you, there's thousands and thousands and thousands of influencers in the business and entrepreneur space, but how many from the lending space? Okay. And what's interesting about lending is, who do lenders lend to? Business owners, business people. So you guys are going to see the perspective of people who own the financial resources by which the business owners use to implement their companies in the first place. So that's going to be probably the majority of my time will be devoted to that, until some of the other channels go on automated. So when will we be doing this? Definitely every Sunday and Monday, you guys will be seeing a podcast. And from there, we're going to be playing it by ear. So with that said, my name is Vinny. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter as 8-Figure Vision. That's right. That's 8-Figure Vision. And with that said, I wish you all a successful week. I hope you had a good Cinco de Mayo, Mother's Day coming up. Don't forget to get something for your moms. If you haven't done it yet, it's about time to go do so. All right. And for those of you that don't have a mom, go show a lady that you know a bit of appreciation, and show her that she's actually cared for as well, because nowadays, they need to hear it, as much as they can. And with that said, ladies and gentlemen, this is Vinny again, 8-Figure Vision. Like, subscribe, and share. Pilot episode number 1, or technically we call this like 0, is done. Peace.